I'm Stephanie, and we have made it to November, which means it's time to chat my October wrap-up and November TBR. So let's talk books. So I did read several books this month. This wrap-up and TBR is coming a little bit late because I was at Disney World the first weekend of November for the Wine and Dine race weekend, where I ran the 2-course challenge, which is a 10K on Saturday and a half marathon on Sunday for those of us who are crazy, and then we also go to the parks in between races. If you are interested in running, you can check out my Instagram because I post bookish things and running things over there. The first book that I read this month is Winds of Fate by Lackey. This is a reread of mine. The Valdemar books by Lackey were some of my favorite books that I read in high school and college, and I've been wanting to revisit some of them, so I decided to start with this series. It's my favorite trilogy in the greater series, even though it's not the first one, so just be aware if you start in the middle like this, you might get some spoilers. The second book that I finished this month is A Crown of Swords by Robert Jordan. This is book 7 in the Wheel of Time series, which I have been diligently working on all year. This one I did listen to on audiobook, and I still really enjoyed this book, book 7. I know that kind of in the middle end-ish, maybe the 2/3-ish mark, I know a lot of people have said that the books get kind of slow and sloggy, but I didn't find that to be the case with The Crown of Swords. I still was really enjoying this series. If you guys are interested in hearing a little bit more of my thoughts on The Wheel of Time so far, I'll go ahead and link up in the cards above my chatty video about being halfway through The Wheel of Time. The third book I finished is Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. That's a debut novel from a brand new fantasy author, and I was really excited to read this book. I did have to send the library copy back so that other readers could get a chance to read this book. I did enjoy the book. I thought it was a really great first novel from a new fantasy author. It is a fantasy revenge combat focused book. Now, the revenge trope and also like a very combat-heavy book is not really my favorite, but if those are things that you like, then I would definitely recommend picking up this book. I would be really excited to see future books from Mr. Winter as he continues to improve his writing and develops more as an author, and he is planning on writing a sequel to this book, so I will be definitely picking that one up when it comes out. Next, I finished a nonfiction book, which is Waking Up by Sam Harris. This is also one that I checked out from the library, so I don't have a physical copy with me. This book, unfortunately, was a miss for me. It wasn't really what I was expecting, and I kind of felt like the author was trying to do 2 different things with this book, and I feel like it would have hit better for me if he had focused on just one or the other. He spent a lot of time talking about the idea of self and consciousness and what does science tell us about the concept of self, and then there was also a lot of time spent talking about meditation and different sorts of other things that you can do to have spirituality in your life if you are not following an organized religion. But I didn't really feel like he meshed those 2 ideas together very well. So that one was a little bit of a letdown, but you can't love everything. The second audiobook that I finished this month is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I had read the Lunar Chronicles last year, and I really enjoyed the first 4, the original 4 books in that series. The spin-off books, not as much, but I was really interested in checking out her Renegade series. I ended up really, really loving this book. It was very fun and just enjoyable. It reminded me a lot of the Reckoner series by Sanderson, which I also love. They both have that YA superhero vibe going on, and I just had so much fun. I don't always enjoy YA books. Sometimes some of the more common tropes in YA can be a little bit annoying for me, but this one I really loved, and it didn't have a lot of the things that I don't tend to like there's no love triangles in there. I feel like there's not an overabundance of characters making really stupid decisions, and I found everybody really fun and relatable. The superhero powers in the book were really interesting and creative, and then I also went on and I read the second book in the series, Archenemies, also an audiobook. I flew through both of these books in just 2 days each, and I really, really love them. So I would highly recommend picking those up. I finished my reread of The Way of Kings. I've been rereading this over with a group that's hosted by Elliot Brooks, and we're reading through the Stormlight Archive, and this month we read The Way of Kings. I had a lot of fun rereading this book. This is my second reread of this book this year. This is my favorite series by far. I decided to take notes of this read through, which was really fun. I have a little color-coded tabs on here, so if I want to go back and find something. One of the cool things about Brandon Sanderson is a lot of his books exist in their own universe called the Cosmere, so there's lots of Easter eggs referencing different characters and events from different books in different series, and it was really cool to kind of go in with more of like a studious mentality to this book and really look for those nuggets, and also to look out for different things that are foreshadowing. And I thought it would be great to do an annotated read-through in preparation for book 4, which is hopefully coming out next year. Brandon is very studiously working on that right now, and I am super excited. That's definitely my most anticipated book of 2020. The last book I finished in October is Winds of Change, the second book in the Valdemar series that I was rereading. This is my favorite of the series. I really enjoyed it. There is a really cool magical setting for the story where you have not only magical sentient horses, you have birds which are also sentient, and there's a lot of cool evil magical creatures, and there's an evil sorcerer, and so there's a lot of really neat and very, say, non-medieval fantasy things going on in this book, which I really enjoyed. And so those fantastical elements are one of the things that make this my favorite trilogy out of the series. And the last book I wanted to talk about is Winds of Fury, which I finished up in just the first couple days of November, so I thought I would go ahead and throw this in so I could chat about it with the rest of the series, and also so that I can put all these books back on my shelves. But I did also enjoy this one. This book really concludes a whole chunk of the series, and not just the trilogy, where we're getting the, final confrontation with an enemy that we have seen pop up in several of the series, and I really enjoyed that. I do feel like the ending isn't quite as strong as I remember it being. I feel like my tastes as a reader have evolved a lot since I was in high school and college, especially comparing them to my favorite author now, Brandon Sanderson. His endings are just so amazing, like mind-blowingly good, that this one just kind of felt average. It wasn't bad, it wasn't unsatisfying. I was definitely satisfied by the ending, but it just wasn't amazing. Alright, so let's quickly run through the books that I'm hoping to get through in November. Now, there are quite a few books that are coming out in November that I'm really excited for. I have 2 of them that I pre-ordered, and I have a couple of them that I am going to try and borrow from the library. So the ones from the library, depending on how quickly my library gets them and whether or not I get in early enough on the hold list for those, will depend on whether I get to read them this month. The 2 I'm hoping to get from the library are The Toll, which is the 3rd book in the Scythe series, and then The Queen of Nothing, which is the 3rd book in the Cruel Prince series. So I'm really excited for both of those, and hopefully my library will come through. I'm going to be continuing on with the Stormlight Archive reread. We are going to be reading Words of Radiance, so I've got that prepped to go with my little post-it notes. I'm also hoping to squeeze in Edgedancer, which is a novella that follows Stormlight Book 2, and that I have a copy of in the Arcanum Unbounded, so I'll just be reading one of the novellas from this book, hopefully before December when we'll be starting the Oathbringer reread. I am hopefully going to be finishing the Path of Daggers, which is the next Wheel of Time book. You guys can see I was able to get a little bit into it in October, and I would love to finish this one. I've been struggling with this book a little bit, just getting into it, and I feel like I need a bit of a break from the Wheel of Time after this, so I've got a couple of audiobooks that I will be reading between this one and the next Wheel of Time book, and I also may go ahead and read the prequel, because I've seen people recommend reading the prequel anywhere from book 5 to book 10, so I may take a break and read New Spring. One book I didn't get to last month was The Golden Key, so I've gone ahead and rolled this over into November. This is another book that I absolutely adored in college. It's written by Melanie, Jennifer Roberson, and Kate Elliot, who are all really great authors, and I remember really loving this book. It's a standalone, which is great. It is kind of chunky, but it's just one book, and this is about a painter who can change reality through his paintings, and when the girl that he likes falls in love with someone else, he traps her into a painting. And that's kind of the basic premise of this book, so I'm really excited to be rereading this month. I will be wrapping up the Renegade series. This will be the very next book that I pick up. Supernova, this is book 3. This is one that I pre-ordered and it has arrived. So I'm really excited to dig into this series. As far as audiobooks go, I've decided to reread the Reckoners series. I am very much in a superhero mode, so I thought I would go ahead and reread these. So I've got Steelheart, Firefight, and Calamity that I will read on audiobook, and then I also will be reading the short story Mitosis. That one I just have as a hard copy, but it's pretty tiny, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through. And last but certainly not least, I will be reading Starsight, the sequel to Skyward, when it comes out. I also have this one on pre-order. It is releasing at the end of November, so hopefully with the holiday of Thanksgiving here in the United States, I will still be able to actually get my hands on my physical copy before the end of the month. That one I will definitely be dropping everything else to read when it comes in, and I am super excited. I always love new Brandon Sanderson books, and Skyward was just such a win for me. It felt so familiar and yet different at the same time. It had a lot of the elements of stories that I loved growing up. Yeah, it was still different and interesting and really captivating. And I'm really excited to learn more about the aliens that are attacking the humans, and how the humans got to this planet in the first place, and what is going on with Spence's dad. So I'm very excited to be reading that this month. So that is it for this video. Let me know down in the comment section below, what are you most excited to read in November? Are you excited for a new release this month? There are a ton of great books that are coming out in November, and I'm sure that there are ones I'm going to want to read that I just don't even have space to think about yet this month. But let me know, because I would love to add to my TBR. Until next time, bye.